Well, what concerns you as a parent? A new poll from the University of Michigan C.S. Mott Children's Hospital finds that the top concern of parents center around the use of devices and social media by children and teens.
You hear me sighing? I
heard you
can't even
sigh.
explain it. I do worry. I'm sure lots of you do. Dr. McGeorge here to explain tonight exactly what parents can do to deal with the concerns and also what's on parents' minds.
Well, you know, Karen and DeMont, actually about 2/3 of parents expressed those concerns. And in fact, over 60% of parents were also concerned about internet safety, making devices, social media, and internet safety the top 3 concerns. Now, all of those grew during the pandemic, but the doctor who co-led the poll says they're not likely to fade.
Over the pandemic, it became clear that children needed to use screens far more often, both for school and for recreation. And now that use has continued to remain higher than I think most parents are comfortable with.
Dr. Susan Wolford, a pediatrician at University of Michigan's C.S. Mott Children's Hospital, says parents are concerned about the impacts on kids' overall health, plus their mental health and emotional well-being.
If they're on screens, then they're not outside being as active as they might like them to be.
To reduce the impact, she has this advice.
First, parents need to stay engaged. They need to know what their children are doing online. They need to know when they're online. They need to monitor their use. 2, they need to offer opportunities for other activities. And third, and possibly hardest, parents need to model appropriate screen time behaviors. So children need to see their parents turning off screens and going to do something else instead.
Another important parental concern was mental health issues like depression, suicide, stress, and anxiety, as well as difficulty accessing help.
The lack of mental health services is concerning because it could mean that children are not getting the treatment that they need, which could have long-term consequences.
Now, the poll also found that parents from low-income households rated other issues like unsafe neighborhoods, discrimination, and smoking or vaping as problems for their children and teens. And finally, there was also a concern, although in lower numbers, about unhealthy diets and obesity.
Oh, wow.
You mentioned mental health, and so you're trying to figure out exactly is there something on their mind, or are they just being teenagers, right?
Yeah. And that's definitely very hard because, you know, unfortunately, some of the signs can be difficult to distinguish from changes as kids just get older. So changes in sleep, too much or too little, changes in appetite, eating more or eating less, social withdrawal, changes in their friend group. Any of those could be an early indicator, but they could also just be growing up. The best way to distinguish them from just getting older is to actually have a conversation with your child.
Try to find those times, especially when you're driving to sports or back and forth.
Exactly, those downtime moments are the way to go.
That's when you can try to sneak in that conversation. All right, thanks, Doc.
Thanks, Doc.